Welcome everyone to another webinar here this month on obviously how you can compete with the big chain auto shops. Today, as I already mentioned, rocking a Braves jersey on opening day for baseball. So if you're here live, you understand that today is opening day. If you're watching on the replay, maybe wondering why in the world I'm wearing a baseball jersey, but that's why. I love the Atlanta Braves, and I love baseball. But I also love talking about marketing, especially for auto repair, and kind of how we can continue to grow independent shops and help them dominate their communities. Okay, so that's what we'll be chatting about today. And for those of you that are here, if you want to throw a yes in the chat, if you have a big chain auto repair franchise in your community, and so maybe within 5 miles of your shop, if you have a big chain, multiple big chains. Okay, so we got a bunch of yeses that are in here. I assumed a lot would have a lot of yeses in here. I mean, that'd be a big reason to be in here and watching this. And I mean, they are everywhere and in all shapes and forms, but there are going to be a lot of ways that we can get up and above what they're doing. A big name, big budget does not necessarily mean being the best. So we will go over what that needs to look like today. So agenda-wise, we're going to go over the weaknesses of big chains, kind of what understanding your competition and whoever they are. In this case, obviously, we're going to be talking about the bigger names, but what their weaknesses are, and so how you can address it and make your marketing more effective will be great. Number two will be getting ahead with SEO, the kind of different things that you want to be able to look at there. Number three, leveraging the Google Business Profile for local search dominance. And then number four, taking advantage of being local with local service ads, or LSAs, as kind of the acronym is known popularly in the marketing industry worldwide. And so first off, the weaknesses of big chains. So, I mean, I'm sure that you all have experienced it firsthand as you go through, maybe not even necessarily a big chain in the auto repair industry, or just a big chain in some of the other industries that are out there. But these are some of the common ones that we typically hear about or we recognize ourselves along those lines. And so first and foremost is a lack of personal relationships. So a lot of these big brands obviously have their go-to protocols, and maybe a lot of the individuals don't see this as a forever place. They're not as ingrained into the business. They don't see the kind of need of building that personal relationship, kind of like how an independent shop would. And so that lack of personal relationship is a weakness that kind of falls on their hands. Aggressive upsell tactics. A lot of big change, it comes down to the bottom line, and that's all it is. And granted, the bottom line is very important. You are running a for-profit business. You're not running a non-profit business. So it's very important to have profitability, but some of these chains definitely have, their protocol is to be very aggressive in terms of like the upsell and making those things happen versus the proper protocol of sharing why maybe other services are potentially needed in the vehicle through DVIs and things like that. There's an impersonal customer service. So again, this kind of relates to that lack of personal relationships, but just not building that proper rapport and just seeing them as almost another number of like coming in and out. And then the fourth is this lack of organic search strength and niche services. And so a lot of these big brands just rely on the name itself. And like, hey, yeah, the name is going to carry in, and branding is obviously very important as we continue to see how Google is treating brand names and brand searches. But there is definitely big gains to be able to have an organic search, because a lot of these other big chain websites don't focus anything on it. They just have they have pages on there, but the pages lack depth. And when they lack depth, there isn't as much trust innately built with Google. So we'll be going over those things here today, because again, understanding the weakness helps you understand how you can build it as a strength, make yourself different, have almost natural, unique service propositions for your customer base, and why they would continue to choose yourself, your independent auto repair family-owned shop, versus some of these big brands. Okay. And again, as you all have questions and things, please feel free to throw it in the chat. I'm happy to answer them, and I'm grateful that you're here live. And those watching on the replay, throw them in the comments. I'll circle back and answer those as often and as quickly as possible as well. But first and foremost, we want to talk about building a strong local brand. And so, how many of you in here believe that you have a strong local brand? Like if someone just said, I mean, they don't even need to say your whole business name. They just said a word of your business name, and they'd know, like, yeah, exactly who you are and what you're about. If you just throw a one in the chat this time, if yes, you believe that you have a strong local brand, or two, in terms of no, you still have some work to do for your brand. All right, so we got a few ones, got a few twos sprinkle in. So yeah, I mean, again, we feel like, I mean, we'll have a mix and match of where your brand currently is. Some will obviously be stronger than others. But again, it's going to be very important to build a strong local presence. So there's going to be a few ways that you can go about doing that. So first and foremost, there's the power of community-based branding. And so within your community, a lot of people think that, oh, I just need to reach out to the people, my customers as often as possible. But there's other people around that are trying to do that same thing, but they're not your competition. And so there are like just other local businesses in the area. Say it's a local restaurant that's right nearby, or it's a local gym, or it's a local grocery store, or whatever it may be. There's a lot of other local businesses that, yes, their customer audience is the same as yours, but they're going after them for a different service. So those are great people to partner with in terms of building community, building like how you are supporting other local businesses. And again, those are just win-win situations for everyone around, especially if both businesses are providing amazing service and then the customers feel that. And then of course they're like, oh, I want to be a part of this ecosystem of community. And again, sharing wins about what other businesses are doing, more than likely they'll go out of their way to share wins with you, and kind of creating camaraderie in a sense. And so that's going to be a big thing to do. How do I locally network to connect with potential partners? So that's a great question there. I mean, usually there's some local like BNI type of groups in your community. There's like usually a chamber of commerce of some kind in most towns, regardless of how big or how small they are. I guess if you're really small, then maybe it would be more of a county-based chamber of commerce, and maybe that's a little bit further of a drive. But again, could be very worth it in terms of just connecting with community and seeing what else other people are doing that's working for them. And again, maybe if it's not your industry, it's okay because their target addressable market is going to be this very similar to yours, where it's just an everyday person in a family that's in a home with a couple cars. Like they need kind of all the same things too. So that's how you would kind of locally connect and really just go to that place. I mean, I'm sure you go to a local restaurant. I'm sure you go to a local store or gym or whatever it may be. Like, go and talk to the owner. The owner will most likely be there in some shape or form, especially if it's a one location that they have. The owner is going to be there. Like maybe not the one time that you tried, but try again. Like we want to make sure that you understand that and look and see what other brands are doing a good job within community of like they have fans, so to say, or they're like there's people that go to bat for them on social media and talk about them, and they do a good job of creating a following. Like those are people that you definitely want to connect with because there's something one they can teach you, but also their following listens to them, and thus if you can piggyback off of that, and then you get natural customers because now you're part of that ecosystem and community. Again, that costs nothing other than the time to build that rapport with another business owner in a different industry. So a very easy win to be able to have there. And then creating a unique value proposition or a unique selling proposition, USP, typically as they're called. For example, you have personalized service, expert technicians, specialized repairs. I mean, to go a step further, if you offer, say you offer Uber or Lyft rides that to and from the shop, or you pick up the car, things that just make the pain points even less for the consumer directly, makes it even better. Again, what are things that you can do to make yourself stand out versus your competition and going above and beyond. And as long as, yeah, obviously we need to make sure it makes sense in your margins. You can't just like be spending left and right and thus making no profit just because you're like, I want to build this strong reputation. At the end of the day, yes, you still need to create a bottom line for yourself, but there's a lot of things that they're able to broadcast that I'm sure that you all focus on. You pride your shop in that you do very well, and make sure to share those things. And go out of your way to share. Like make sure people are aware of those things that you're doing, whether you're sending them out in mailers or on your website. You're making sure that those are clearly labeled at the very top of like what makes you different, why they should even choose you. On your Google Business profile, you can make posts and you can post those things there and sharing those things in that way. Google also understands when that happens because if someone's asking like, does anyone do shuttle rides after I drop off my car? I'm sure like if you talk about that, it'll pop up. And granted, there's not many people that are going to be typing in that search, but when those things do happen, you want to make sure that you're capturing that audience. You don't want people like, oh, I had no idea that you offered that. That's to me not a good job of doing marketing. Like you want to ensure that everyone understands everything that you do and how you do it different. And then the importance of customer testimonials and word of mouth marketing. And then I'm sure a lot of you feel that one of your most powerful forms of marketing is word of mouth. And that to me speaks to the amazing service that you do at your shop. But again, how well are you doing at amplifying the word of mouth? Because again, not everyone's going out of the way at the family cookout to talk about how amazing their auto repair shop that they go to is. It's not a common topic that I hear very often. Um, so what are you doing to enable and ease to allow people to talk about how amazing you are? Like, yes, your Google reviews, then are you sharing your Google reviews? Is it easily broadcast on social media? Is it easily broadcast on the website? Are you clearly showing that people really care about what you do? And then on top of that, are you getting, say, video tests? Are you having someone share a video that then you can broadcast and share? Again, some hesitancy for owners is where they feel like maybe it's a little bit prideful or boisterous or whatever it may be. To me, it's not. It's like it's that'd be a fear that you'd have to settle back and allow someone to just maybe you yourself is not doing the posting. You have someone else do the posts, and then that way though you can reap the benefits of that taking place because you worked really, really hard to get those amazing testimonials. Don't let them just hide in the shadows. Like again, you want to make sure you're sharing those things so people are aware, because again, people aren't always going to go out of their way to do all this research and understand all about the shop. Yes, there will be people like that, but there's a lot of people that are just lazy. They just don't have the time to dig into all of that. So we need to make sure that you're overly sharing those things. And so like when they happen to be doing one thing that's completely different, they keep seeing all these good things talking about you. Okay. So a step further, now we want to talk about having a dedicated SEO strategy for your shop. And so how many of you have an SEO strategy for your shop? Just simple yeses or nos in the chat here. All right, so some of you throwing on down yeses. We got a few nos. So again, some people aren't sure. But yeah, I mean, obviously, we definitely want to have a dedicated SEO strategy and a a plan of how we're going to rank. And again, those will take. I mean, we'll have typically a marketing company will have internal goals and metrics that they're shooting for to constantly push towards to ensure that certain items are taking place. But we want to ensure that those steps are being taken as well as strategy. Again, you're kind of shooting blind of like, hey, I'm not really sure what is happening, what sort of rankings are taking place. Is call volume going up, and those sort of things that you want to ensure that are taking place. And so those would be the elements. And if you're unsure of what your marketing company is doing, I mean, ask. There's this whole documents and things of making sure that that is going to be laid out, hopefully, of what is taking place and the strategy that's in hand. So there's different ways to understand now the search rankings. Because typically, again, on the SEO strategy, a lot of it will be around like, hey, how are things ranking and performing, and then thus are more actions being taken, say on your map listing, on your website, etc. That shows that yes, rankings are improving. Because not all the time will a ranking report directly correlate to something improving. Because at the end of the day, if you're like suddenly you're getting a lot more calls, but the ranking, say the ranking software that's being used is not reflecting that, to me, that would mean the ranking software is probably a little bit off because like calls just don't happen magically. You'd have to be appearing more often for more calls to be taking place. That's kind of the nature of how it will work because people aren't just going to be magically digging further and further in within Google. It'd be a more natural process of you just being easier to find. And so the local map or the local pack or again all the different names that's out there is going to be that top section in the search results of the maps. That top three is the overwhelming abundance of market share that will happen for auto repair shops because at the end of the day, it's a brick and mortar location where people need to get to, and so they want to one see the Google reviews, and then also they at times will need to get directions in order to get there properly because no one's just gonna magically remember that all the time on their phone and in their minds, and so they need to look it up. And so you want to make sure that that is where majority of the SEO power is funneling. The more often you're appearing in the top three, typically the better and better your results are going to end up being. The organic results are going to be what's appearing right after the businesses. That's on the very bottom, and so that's where the kind of the website start being listed. Again, once you're past even that like, sort of top two or three that are listed there, people aren't going to keep scrolling because more and more of the SERP of the interface of what's on Google is being taken up by ads. There's the local service ads and Google AdWords and the map listing, and that's blasted up. And then you can scroll down even further, and then you have the organic listing. So it gets even further and further. But a big thing that benefits you ranking well in the maps typically is going to be how well your website is performing as well. Again, it's not always going to be a direct correlation, but there is a pretty heavy correlation in terms of hey, your website is performing pretty well along, and then your map listing in fold will tend to rank a lot better than your competition because there's innately a little bit more trust there with Google that it can believe that you should be ranking a little bit better. The maps obviously have a very local, like a very proximity location based metric to it. And so that's where organic kind of washes that away. Organic is just strictly more SEO on its own and building that power. And so you want to make sure that those two things are kind of working hand in hand within the strategy. And then local businesses can dominate organic rankings by using hyper-specific SEO. And so again, continuing to leverage like city names and at times zip codes. Zip codes don't work too well anymore. It's just a little, not as many people type in their zip code, but also just a little unnatural in terms of no one types in auto repair in a 5-digit code. They type in the city name and things like that. So different towns, if there's if you're a little bit more rural and it needs to be counties, and those are things that you want to make sure are layered in throughout content and things that you're posting. Okay. So um, naturally it's getting harder to compete quickly with big chains. So that's going to be a situation where you again, it's not an overnight effort where suddenly, oh, I'm populating and I'm ranking better than all the big chains here within a week because I did said thing. Like, no, it's unfortunately not a process that way because more and more of Google searches are going towards brand searches. And so like that just means someone typing in a business name of the way it is, and or at least parts of the business name in order to find where they want to go. And that's again nationwide across the board, and not so much of like the general terms in terms of hey, auto repair shop, mechanic, etc. It's going to be more of like yeah, I want to know the name, and so naturally some of these big brands just have a big marketing budget where some of those names just keep getting remembered, and that's where people forget. But again, usually they have a poor experience and then and then they'll potentially look other places. But that's where you want to make sure that you're prevalent in all these other places to ensure that over time you start ranking better and better. You start having that brand recognition that is obviously overwhelmingly better than what they have going on. And so here you can see an example of Kiwi's Auto Repair is one of the shops that we support, and organically they're ranking very well up here, and thus where they're ranking very well in the top three of the maps as well. And so kind of a heavy correlation that typically happens as you correlate and moving forward there. And in this situation, we don't even have a brand name even appearing in the top three of the local maps. And so it'll be a blend of certain things that take place. Obviously, there's big websites of like Yelp is a directory-based website, and so that's where that website tends to because there's just so many pages, so much information there. Naturally, those websites tend to rank pretty well organically, but again, it's not an actual location. And so it's going to look at the actual individual location websites, how you're ranking there to then supply and rank you better. So should I invest in Google Ads to improve visibility? And does that impact my SEO? As a question there. So good question. In terms of Google Ads, I think it should always be invested in some shape or form because it never hurts to have multiple lines of marketing casted out there. Again, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself to like, hey, the one way that I grow is word of mouth, and that's the way it is. And again, what happens if that just like dries up? Then eventually you get no customers and then people keep dripping away and then the business just shrinks. No, like you want to make sure that you're casting out different ways. So you have your SEO implementation, you have your Google Ads implementation, you have a internal CRM that's texting people, you have a social media campaign and ways that you're getting people that way. So there's different avenues that you should be again having out constantly. So then that way you know what's working, what's not. Maybe you weigh it a little bit differently in terms of the budget, marketing dollar wise that you have, and ensuring that again, you're trying every avenue. You don't want to just like say, "Oh, I don't need to do that there, and I only need one line of marketing." Because again, if that line of marketing suddenly fails, then you're in a world of trouble. Versus where, oh, I had these multiple lines. If one's not succeeding right now as well, I can shift some of the dollars maybe somewhere else, circle back when that one improves, so on and so forth. But Google Ads doesn't impact SEO really at all. It's two very separate things. Um, Again, every once in a while there'll be metrics that show almost like a pay to play sort of thing where it's like, oh yeah, Google Ads, you're spending a good amount of money on Google Ads, you're seeing some of your SEO rankings improve a little bit, but usually it's a very, very short window of correlation because again, it's a very dangerous game that Google would be playing in terms of like, oh, in order to rank even in the maps at all, you need to be spending money. Um, I again, I don't think that's an avenue that they would start addressing and attacking because that would create a lot of bad feedback. That would start declining the level of trust people would have with Google because it's like, oh, I can't trust any of the results anymore because the only people that are appearing are the ones that have the biggest budget. And will the service be good? No. So the people that keep ranking are not the service that ranks very good. People will start finding a different search engine to leverage that gives them more trustworthy results that they believe is going to be more accurate to reflecting what they want to do. So um, two separate things, but two avenues of marketing that I think definitely should be done. And what is a good Google Ads budget? And so again, it's going to depend on the business, and there's different levers of percentages based on your goals and what you're trying to achieve via marketing. And usually, what we do is we recommend a minimum of $1,000 a month if you're going to spend dollars at all, because anything less than that, that's a pretty minimal budget per day. And then cost per click, say you get a cost per click around $7. And if your budget is, say, $500 for the month, you're looking at less than 20, like $15 a day. That's two clicks. And in two clicks, it's really hard to then determine the budget wise if what you did was even successful that day. And so it's wiser to have a bigger budget. I mean, across like the 200 campaigns that we run, I mean, we're seeing on average between that 1750 to $2,000 mark of what people spend a month on Google AdWords. But again, that might start to shift as like local service ads again are a newer play that are like creating way cheaper cost per leads and resulting in I mean, you don't maybe need to spend as much because you're getting enough quality leads with a smaller budget. But if you have the budget and it's so cheap, I mean, why not? Especially if you can have the bandwidth show up in the shop. So, again, great questions, great things to think about as we continue to move forward here. So, And again, this is the portion of like the maps. Obviously, you definitely want to be in the maps, but the organic SEO game is definitely a place where you can you can dominate in terms of what the big chains are doing. A lot of their websites tend to not rank very well, and then in turn, it won't help their rankings in the long run here. Other than the fact that yes, they have a popular brand name that people are aware of, and then they might just type that in right away without doing more and more research. But again, then that's where you can have blogs and things that talk about how you're different. You don't even need to mention them by name. You can just mention how some of these things, like ways that you do things different and better. And thus, as someone's researching some of these names, it might pop up as a granite page that ranks, and they're like, "Oh, I'm curious, what the heck is this?" And they click on it, and they see that, "Oh, maybe this is where I want to go instead." So again, little things that you can do over time there. So hyper-specific SEO is a big key to winning. So um, a lot of I mean we analyze lots and lots of websites, and a lot of them forget to add in some of the location names within kind of the SEO practice. It's very general in terms of the keywords and they're just the services by itself, but we you're a local business. You're not trying to get people nationwide driving across the country to do a brake repair. And so you want to ensure that you are, again, putting these other locations around. And sometimes maybe, yeah, like the location you're in isn't the only location you serve. Like some close surrounding cities are ones that also drive to your shop pretty often. And yes, being ranked in the maps are going to be a little bit tricky for that because of location proximity, and maybe there's a bunch of other shops in that local neighborhood, but like organically you can still rank very well and show like, hey, like we service this area, we have a lot of trust here, and people can still find the site. So you want to be as hyper local as possible when talking about different services, different makes and models of cars, and how you address those. So again, we want to make sure that you're talking not just focusing on yes, auto repair is important to have ranking well, but brake repair in Denver, Colorado instead, and just sort of being really specific of what you go after. And then as you go through that, and maybe there's something even further and deeper there, like it's a brake repair for a Ford that a Ford F-150 because it's been a problem lately. Or again, not saying that that's the situation, but maybe as you see feedback in the shop of like a common occurrence of like, oh, something's going on with this, and you make a post about it, and you begin to be hyper specific because more than likely, then you would have the answer for these individuals in the local area. Um, and then also important to know that you want to create separate location pages, especially if you have multiple locations. If you have multiple locations, there again should be no reason why you should not have multiple location pages on here because each location is kind of going after a thing on its own. Even if it is in, say, the same city, like you want delineation there. You don't want cannibalization of your different locations, and then Google's confused on what should rank well or what not. Like, no, you want to ensure that you are building a very powerful data warehouse for Google to properly understand everything that you're doing across the board and continue to build it that way. One question is my current agency not doing good enough with SEO if my results haven't improved in the year I have been with them? And so again, and that it would depend on the goals of what you're trying to accomplish, and maybe the level of SEO result, it's you're like I was expecting it to rank here when it was only ranking here before. But again, if say the call volume and the car count is taking place of like, hey, I think call volume is increasing and maybe something else is going on there, or like we're still getting a ton of conversions and leads in this shape and format, then it'd be maybe a little bit harder to interpret in terms of like, yeah, well, is the SEO good or bad? Um, if things are just like, hey, like I cannot be found anymore, and I'm also seeing that, yeah, my call volume is drastically going down, then more than likely, yeah, the SEO results are not going to be quite up to par of what is happening there. But again, the it's hard to know without the goal and the metrics and determining like, hey, is this good or not? I would honestly I'd rather look at the data itself and be like, yeah, okay, this data is telling me that this is not good, or this data is telling me that actually I think there's something else going on here. that's maybe a little bit trickier to interpret, and so maybe at no fault of whatever current agency is doing said marketing. So again, I appreciate the question. And if you, and I guess if you're a client that's asking that as well, I mean, feel free to reach out, and happy to answer those. Because I don't know how many clients are in here as well. But again, I think it's going to just depend in terms of how that reflects and goes through. And so understanding the rankings, and so there's going to be a bunch of different ranking reports and things that are out here. But I mean, typically with an image and colors, I think it's pretty easy to interpret most of the time. Red means bad, green means good. But then also making sure that these rankings then correlate to understanding like, hey, like we need to see other information to really determine if this is accurate of a report. Because not all the time will these things be accurate. This gives us sort of a barometer check. But typically, again, when everything is red, that typically is not good. There should be room for improvement there, at least within the system and how it's reading it. Maybe it's just not reading something properly there. But that's what bad would mean. Good, again, would tend to look something along the lines of, hey, like are starting to see gain in terms of being green in certain areas, seeing ranking and performance within certain areas there versus just like completely red. And that slowly trickles and happens again over time. It's not an overnight thing. But as you continue to work, you're looking at the top trends as it continues to click and go through this. You're able to some of the reporting that we do. You're able to click on each sort of week, and then again, so it'll go up and down. But there should be a holistic, like we're seeing overall improvement happening over time. And then some of the best rankings, obviously, we have green for um, a pretty wide radius for different search terms. And again, you tend to see a good dominating market. Um, can I pull this up in analytics? So this tool is through Bright Local, is what this tool is. Another common tool that I like to use is called Local Viking. And then you just again you type in a business name, you type in a search term, you create a radius around the shop. It gives you an idea of how you're ranking. And this is again these ones. I guess I didn't explain this properly in terms of these ones, twos, threes, etc. Is how you're appearing in the map in the map pack itself. Obviously, you want to be in that top three as often as possible because if you're not, then people have to click on that more business button to find you. And there's a small likelihood that that will happen. And each bubble sort of signifies like, hey, if someone were searching for me with a given auto repair term in this area, whatever you decided to search on that given time, that's how I'm ranking in the maps in these given locations. So again, obviously, the further away you get from the shop, the harder it's going to be to rank because in the maps, it's very location dependent upon where someone is. But the further obviously that you're ranking away from the shop, the stronger and stronger your overall SEO presence is. So great question there in terms of, I mean, you wouldn't see this in just natural Google Analytics. It doesn't have a map or anything like this. But that's where you kind of use both together of like, hey, what like this is what my ranking report is sort of looking like. It looks pretty good to me, or it doesn't look good to me at all. My call report, okay, this one actually looks good, or maybe it looks opposite. So again, it's not going to be the end all be all. You should have multiple layers of data that you're leveraging to understand what is properly going on at the shop. Is your marketing dollars going far or not? Okay. And then service area pages expand your reach. So so even if you do not have multiple locations, but you are in an area in which, yep, you 5 miles covers multiple cities or 10 miles covers multiple cities. And you're like, hey, yeah, we do get 10, 15, 20% of our customers that drive from there. But nowhere on your site or on your Google business profile does it ever talk about how you service that area. You want to make sure that you're doing both things. So you have a service area page where you have a page on your website that talks about how you service that area and you take care of them. You mentioned both general service, general keywords, along with having that added location on there on your website. And then on your Google business profile, you make a post, talk about how you service and do those areas too. And so that way Google starts understanding that, yeah, you take care of these people. It starts seeing that, oh yeah, I see reviews. Some reviews came from that area too. So yeah, maybe we can start sprinkling them in terms of ranking in that area, both organically and in the maps itself. So the more information again that you give Google, the better it's going to be. And then each page must be unique content, no copy and paste content, no AI strict content. Again, there's a lot out there that makes it very easy to create multiple pages, but if your pages are not worth a lick, then it's not going to matter. If anything, it's going to hurt you. And then you get kind of dinged and your ranking will start going down because it's like, okay, why are certain things on here that are just, again, redundant of what else is out in the ether? And again, it's pretty quick and easy to read and tell if something's strictly AI. So never copy and paste everything on there. You want it to be unique and edited in some shape or form. It can be the baseline. It can be the starting point. Absolutely, AI is very helpful in doing that, but never just highlight, copy, and paste. Like again, you'll most likely be in a world of hurt. So, and then Google hates duplicate content, so always create quality, distinct pages. Sometimes people get really aggressive with the amount of pages that they have on their website, and so you have like almost multiple services that are talking about the same, like pages that are talking about the same service, or you also have a blog and that's talking about the same service, and those the keywords that are going after are the same. You never want to have multiple pages going after the same keywords within one website because then again, seems spammy, it seems duplicated, and neither thing will rank very well. So again, you want to have uniqueness, different things pointing to different places, so on and so forth there. So building domain authority with backlinks. And so backlinks are a big thing in regards to offsite SEO. So there's different layers to SEO. Like we talked about local SEO, on-site SEO is a lot of the different pages and things to add on the website. Offsite SEO is a sort of a big time undertaking that again it's not easy to be able to produce these at scale, but definitely very beneficial. A backlink is if you were to say read an article or a blog on another website and some of the words or phrases are clickable. You click on the phrase, it opens up a new window on your browser or your phone. That's a backlink. And ideally, you'd have a blog or article written about your shop and how you service an area. They click on a phrase, it links back to a certain page on your website. And now it's building that trust and authority with Google. And again, it takes a lot of time. It's hard to do. Not everyone is able to accomplish that, but it's a big thing that here at Lyft we take care of and focus on because we see how well it moves the needle. And so again, it's quality over quantity. It's not like, oh, just because you're getting 100 and you go on Fiverr and you buy it, like someone can get you 100 of them. Like, don't do that. All the links in the websites that will be from are probably like foreign websites and spam websites, and it will just hurt you in the long run. So you want to make sure it's quality sites and places that are pointing back to your site. And then, so that's also looking in, there needs to be a good, strong backlink strategy. And our strategy is like, again, to start small, go with 2 backlinks per month. Sometimes you can uplevel that when you're needing an extra boost. But again, once you start getting into like the double digits per month, that almost seems like what is going on to Google. Like, I mean, it needs to be very like genuine in terms of like what, like why that would be happening from all quality sites at one time. And that's not easy to accomplish at all. So then Google Business Profile Optimization. And so the GBP, as it's known, used to be known as the GMB or Google My Business. It's just where your business is listed on the map. So we kind of talked about it a little bit there. But you want to ensure that you are managing it or someone is managing it. If you have a marketing company that, again, is not going through and managing that, then a lot like again, as we saw, the local SEO is the kind of the biggest gain on your Google Business Profile listing, and biggest actions are taken there because it's so easy to find. A lot of people like going there for an auto repair shop, so you need that to be managed consistently. Google just likes using their product, like likes to see that you're using its product, so you want to ensure that you're making regular posts in there, you're updating services and products and uploading regular pictures. Now, AI is reading the pictures and seeing and understanding like what is featured in the picture, attaching keywords to it, allowing you to rank for certain keywords. So pictures are very, very important in terms of making sure you're regularly uploading those. So little things again end up making a big difference over time. How can I get high quality links to my site? So good question there. It's not easy. I mean, because you typically have to build relationships with different websites and things for them to be like, yeah, I'll do this. And if you do this, or maybe you have to pay a small fee in order to get certain things. Like, again, it's a very constant process and there's also different ways in order to do say guest posting. There's a lot of layers into backlinks as well, which I won't dive too deep into because again that's getting really really in the weeds, but again it takes time. Maybe there's like to start small for some, say a local community, I would like reach out to local news outlets, the local chamber and things, just making sure that they have things that have easy ways to link back to the site for you, because that would be a good like small way to start on having some backlinks. Okay. But Google Business Profile, why you need it to obviously appear in local searches, especially like the near me's, like that's how your people type in auto repair near me, mechanic near me, whatever it is, then that's how you're going to be ranking is going to be found on your Google Business Profile because it knows it's location proximity based. And so you want to have a good profile, strong reviews. So again, boost credibility with positive reviews, fresh photos, make sure you're constantly getting those reviews. There is a recency bias in terms of reviews and regularly doing things in there. So you don't want to be like, oh, I have lots of reviews. I have way more than everyone, so I don't need to ask anymore. No, you want to make sure it's a constant process, constant like you're getting reviews every single week. And then fresh photos again, because AI is getting more prevalent, you want to really get more and more photos uploaded in there regularly. Um, it drives more calls, website visits, store visits. Obviously, you can see there's a call button, a website button, direction button. There's a scheduling button if you have an online scheduler. So all those different things definitely help in making sure that you're getting the most actions taken out of Google, and then you gain insights on customer interactions because there's all different reports and things to review there. So again, basic things of how to optimize your profile. First and foremost, ensure that you are the owner of it. Like if you type in your business name in Google, and hopefully it's attached to an email that you have access that owns that. It should be a slightly different view. You should have kind of an editing access on the top of Google of the profile itself. And again, if you don't like, if you go to business.google.com, you can also see like whatever listings that you manage within whatever website your whatever email that you're logged into. And so some of you may have multiple emails. Make sure you know which one is the owner of it, and then ensure that no one else is also labeled as an owner. Like anyone else that has access should probably only be listed as a manager, so that way they can't just like delete out your account on accident, and then now they are the sole owner and they can do whatever they want. Managers can still do like posts and edits within services and times, but they cannot delete and subtract or add users. So that's something that you want to make sure that you are strictly the only person that can do. You are the owner. You should own everything. Okay. Um, Post regular updates. So sure, you share promotions, events, news, complete your profiles. Yeah, business address, phone number, hours. Just make sure that that's always being checked. Like I'll check maybe every other week, or at least once a month, because sometimes there's like people out there that will move like the pin drop or suggest an edit to an address, and then because you didn't like decline it, it just gets then it'll just get approved after a certain amount of days, and then the address changes. So just make sure you're checking on it and managing to that, so that way it's always giving the right information to Google. Um, Encourage and respond to reviews. So always respond to reviews, like regardless of if it's really bad or really good. Like always respond and give a thoughtful response behind it. And for especially good reviews, you can throw in SEO keywords in there. And then bad ones, again, don't worry about the SEO. Just answer genuinely, and maybe leverage AI a little bit because AI is not emotionally attached to the situation. So it can help you give a little bit more cordial response and not be, again, maybe too negative in a response that again, other people are going to be reading it. It's not really for the one responding because they don't even get alerted. They don't even get a notification that someone like responded to the review. So you just want to make sure that you're responding for other people. Use high quality photos to show your business in action. Again, we talked about photos ad nauseum, but you want to ensure that you're regularly, again, I usually recommend 5 minutes a week. Just set an alarm for not even just maybe the service advisor, but 5 minutes a week. Your job is to go through, take a bunch of photos, throw it in the Google Drive, and say your marketing company will jump in and take care of the rest. Because that's again constantly what we do regularly for our clients. And then monitor performance to track customer interactions with Google Business Profile Insights, etc. You always want to be tracking things to make sure everything is working. And then last thing to chat about is going to be local service ads. And so, how many of you are signed up for local service ads? If you want to throw one in the chat, if you are already signed up, two, if you are not, or you have no idea what this is. And again, the replay for those of you that are still watching. I mean, feel free to comment as well if you are signed up, if you're using it, how well it's been working, because it should be working really well. At least that's what we are seeing across the board for a lot of the shops that we have on it. Um, some people are again that's the one thing I'm waiting on Google. It is a little bit of a process with Google. They take their sweet time when it comes to this stuff. So, but the sooner you get the process started, the higher the chance of it getting obviously approved as soon as possible. The reason why it's taking so long here, as you can see, there's a little Google guaranteed, a little green check mark that typically takes place on here. And if Google's going to put their name beside your name, they're going to make sure everything looks right and you're a trustworthy business. And so this little badge makes it attached strictly to the Google Business Profile that you have. Again, another big reason why your Google Business Profile, like you need to know where it is, managing to it, etc., and why the reviews need to be good because this is exactly what it looks like, and this is the very top of Google now for auto repair searches. So it used to just be Google AdWords. That's all that was available to auto repair, and so that was the portion where there'd be kind of it looked like an organic search, but it would say sponsored, and it would have an ad, and it would link to say a website or a landing page, etc. But now that's right below what this would be. It would be right below here, and so obviously being on the top, there's value in that. And the cool thing is that for leads and calls that come through, you can evaluate the calls, you can rebuttal the call, and if it was like a spam call, you get a credit back from Google. Obviously, you can't just like mark every single one as spam because eventually Google's like, well, we're not going to appear you anymore if you're just going to claim that everything is not good. So you have to play that game. You got to balance it, but you should be getting a good amount of quality calls. Typically, again, that cost per lead is usually in that 40 to 60 range for Google AdWords. For local service ads right now, it's like under $20 because again, there's not many people aware of it, not many people that are able to get on it right away, and thus, if you're one of like a handful of people that are even on it, or maybe you're the only one on it in your whole town, like it's a pretty easy decision for most people, especially ones that are not like scrolling through and doing a deeper research. Right here, they can see that, yeah, Google guaranteed, you have good reviews, click, call, done. Like there's going to be a lot of brainless work there. So that's what again makes it really powerful. Someone asked what makes LSAs better than Google ads. So local service ads, again, they appear at the very top. And right now, not a lot of people are on it. So supply demand. If you're the only supply and the demand's still there, that makes a very appealing offer. So again, that's what I would highly recommend looking into and making sure that you go through that. This is what the page looks like in terms of kind of the steps of things that you need to expect that you will have to do in terms of like you have a license, a proof of insurance, a background check that's needed only for the owner, not for your whole team or anything like that, just for the owner. Customer reviews, that's tied. You got to set a budget and then billing information. So these are the kind of the main things that you want to always have. And you want to go through it as fast as possible. And so LSA is increased visibility and targeted leads. And so again, I kind of went a little bit deep into that, but a big thing is you only pay for genuine leads that result in calls. And so one, yes, someone needs to be managing to it. You like if no one manages to it, obviously every call that comes through will be charged. But like if say you have a regular person at least like reviewing a call and saying, oh yeah, this call that came through was 10 seconds long. That was not a real call because our calls all last at least 45 seconds or something like that. Then you know that, oh, you can flag those as spam because again, it wasn't a real call. But if it ends up being though that like your team just didn't answer, that's where you can't. I would not advise rebuttaling those kinds of things because that's on you. It's not on Google in a sense of like there was a bad call that came through. So and then LSAs build trust because of the Google guaranteed, the screen badges again, because it's like green check mark, Google guaranteed has their name next to you. It makes it very appealing and a lot more trustworthy. But that's why the intense process is sort of needed. So how to get started, verify and optimize your Google Business Profile, and then if you can start creating your local service ad account. And I mean, we create a lot of these. If you need help setting it up, again, feel free to reach out. Happy to set that up. And there's been a bunch of QR codes, but you can feel free to scan the QR code. It'll link to being able to book a meeting with us. We can help with this process. We can help look over all your marketing needs. But as a sort of recap again of why independent auto repair shops can win against big chains. First and foremost, we need to recognize the weaknesses and how to position yourselves there. So, first, you got to build trust through personal relationships. You want to make sure that you're meeting the customer where they are and not forcing them to just do everything that you do. Yes, it is nice when people follow the process and listen. Not everyone's going to listen. You have to help teach them. And so you make sure that your team is going above and beyond building those personal relationships. Number two, providing honest customer first service. So being trustworthy and honest goes a long, long way. So sometimes you don't need to share all the information with people, and you're like, if I just didn't share this, it would make this process way easier. But sharing those things and goes a long way where someone's like, wow, like some people even realize like, wow, they didn't have to share that with me and they did. Like I really appreciate that they did that. And now I can trust them anytime I visit because I know that like they're gonna tell me all the things that I need to know, even if like maybe it's not as favorable to them, maybe it's not the most expensive thing for them. They're like, no, like, would be the best thing that you need to do right now and what you can probably afford or whatever it may be. Like those kinds of things goes a really long way. Offering personalized flexible service. Again, you want to ensure that you are convenient for what people do as well. People love convenience because they they don't have time, and so they want to have something that is as convenient for them as possible. And then four was providing just the overall best customer experience that you can. Do things that are different. Do simple. Again, if you have touches that you have before or after that are just unique within community that people remember, and make sure you share about those things. People like maybe they'll additionally comment like, yeah, I got a cookie after I came in and it was so cool. My kid loved it or whatever it may be, like a little thing like people are seeing like, oh, that's really nice of them to do something like that or whatever it may be. Again, you want to do those little things. Okay. So that is how we're going to compete against big chains today. Again, obviously nothing brand new, nothing fancy. It's going to be those little things that one, you understand where their weaknesses are, how then you can uplift on those weaknesses and improve what you have going on to ensure that, yeah, they would never ever decide to go anywhere else. It's like, yeah, this is the best thing for me. They do need to know about you though. They can't just magically like, oh, I know I'm going to go here instead. Like, no, then you need to do enough marketing to ensure that they're aware of who your shop is, what you're about, and kind of through all the different steps that I mentioned sort of today. And so things that we do, again, if you're like, hey, I need some help of like reviewing what is currently going on. The big chain is always ranking above me. Like, perfect. We'd love to meet in terms of going over what you have currently going on, doing some research on what you do well, what you can definitely improve on, what some competitors are doing well, and how we can help get you above them, or what things you can do yourself to get above them. Feel free to book a session with us. Again, you can go to our website, you can give us a call, you can scan this QR code, any of the QR codes throughout this. But on our website, if you just go and book a meeting, you'd be able to book a strategy session right there. Other things that we do, is a free marketing checklist on our website. But if you also go to this URL, go.liftautorepairmarketing.com/marketing checklist. I know not very many characters there to type in. But if you type that in, you will be able to see a basic breakdown checklist of like, hey, am I doing all these things needed for my marketing? And if not, why not? Figure out how you get that done. So, and if you need help again with those things, happy to discuss where you need to look, what you need to do to make that happen. Free Facebook group. And so this has, again, we're nearing 2,000 shop owners that are in the group now. But if you go to Facebook and go to Auto Repair Owners Mastermind, you'll find this group. And yes, we share marketing tips and we share trending things or questions that we commonly hear, but also shop owners they're sharing their questions directly and getting feedback from other owners. So it's a good little community that, again, free to join. And then we wrote a book. So my wife and I wrote a book in terms of Call It Drive More Business, just step by step walks you through how to start building an internet marketing presence for your auto repair shop. So that is everything that I had for y'all today. I appreciate you all for being here. I appreciate the questions and interacting with me. For those that are watching the replay, I appreciate you listening throughout this entire time. If you already haven't liked or subscribed, please do so. It really helps us make sure that this reaches a wide as audience as possible, that we can continue helping more and more shops around the country. So if that is all the questions that I have today, though, I appreciate you all for being here. I hope you have a great Thursday. I hope the Atlanta Braves win the World Series, and I will talk to you guys again next time. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.